You may remember Mr. Gaines here from Lesson 1. If not, no worries. This is Mr. Gaines. He's made his fortune from investing, and he's going to help me explain the importance of banks and brokerage firms. Ever since human civilization evolved past bartering and started using currency, there have been institutions who make it their business to provide money-related services. We refer to these collectively as financial institutions. But what are they, and what do they do? That's a great question. Financial institutions exist as the answer to several other great questions. How do I buy or sell something that costs more money than I can reasonably carry on my person? What do I do with my money until I want to spend it on something? And how can I get a loan to buy something like a house that costs more money than I have right now? Financial institutions are businesses that serve as middlemen for different monetary transactions. The services they provide are necessary for reaching your financial goals. In this lesson, we're going to talk about two basic financial institutions, banks and brokerages. Let's start with banks. You all know what a bank is, but if you had to explain it to someone, what would you say? Chances are you'd say something along the lines of, banks are where you put your money until you need it. And you're correct. That's the first function of banks. Banks allow you to safely store your money and access it when you need it. But that's not all that banks do. They also offer a lot of other services, like checking accounts, which come with a debit card, and bill pay services. Not only that, but they can offer you loans when you're trying to buy a car or house or start a business. An alternative to a bank is a credit union. Credit unions operate a little differently from banks and have some different pros and cons as well. Mr. Gaines here is a bank guy, and we'll talk about why in a minute, but first, here's Jules. You all remember Jules, right? Well, Jules is all about credit unions. Why do these two disagree? Well, it has a lot to do with the different strengths and weaknesses of banks and credit unions. Banks are for-profit businesses whose product is financial services. Mr. Gaines likes banks because they tend to have a better global presence, have more sophisticated apps, and resolve issues quickly. They also tend to charge higher fees and interest rates on loans than credit unions, but that doesn't bother Mr. Gaines much. As opposed to banks, credit unions are non-profit operations run by a specific community of people, like graduates of the same university or people who live in a certain area. As such, to join a credit union, you need to be a member of that specific community. Because of how they're formed, and because they're non-profit, they tend to have lower fees and charge less interest on loans than banks. This is one of the reasons why Jules prefers them. The flip side of this, though, is that they tend to be more localized and much smaller in scale. This can cause problems anytime you travel, because your credit union probably doesn't have ATMs anywhere other than your local community. They're also less likely to have the kind of highly efficient customer service that a bank would provide. In exchange, though, Jules gets a much more personal touch from her credit union, along with lower fees. Banks and credit unions perform the same basic services in slightly different ways. Brokerages, however, perform completely different services. A brokerage is a firm that gives you access to buy and sell a variety of different investments through different types of accounts. You can buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange-traded funds, and more through a brokerage. You usually cannot do these types of transactions without using a broker, which makes brokerages a key part of making money through investing or saving for retirement. If you have a 401k through your job, then your company is working with a brokerage firm to manage that 401k. Different brokerages are designed to appeal to different types of customers. Customers who are very active and buy and sell a lot will probably look for the brokerage with the lowest fees per trade. Other customers who aren't as active might prioritize a brokerage with access to specific funds or types of investments. You'll want to make sure you understand your own risk tolerance and have clear financial goals before deciding on a brokerage. Let's go back to banks for a bit. We said earlier that you need a bank or credit union, but do you remember why? If not, I'll just go ahead and tell you. First and foremost, banks keep your money safe. The most basic service a bank offers you is a place to deposit your paycheck that's a little more secure than stuffing it under your mattress at home. Secondly, banks make it easy to use your money for things. They'll issue you a debit card if you get a checking account, or you can use your online banking app, an ATM, or even walk into a physical branch to retrieve your money when you need it. There's another service banks provide, and they don't even charge for it. They put a little distance between you and your money. This can be a wonderful thing to help prevent you from spending on unnecessary things. Alright, let's do a recap. The two types of financial institutions we discussed in this lesson are banks and brokerages. Banks and credit unions are financial institutions where you can safely store and access your money. Banks are a good place to obtain a large loan that you need to purchase a home, car, or finance a business. At a brokerage, you might get an account that allows you to buy and sell a variety of investments, such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and exchange-traded funds. And that's it. We'll see you in the next lesson.